Pirate Kings, Pirate Queens, non-binary monarchs of the sea. Hello, how's it going? What's going on? Happy OP09 release. I know it's not technically Friday anymore. I'm recording this at about 5 a.m. Saturday morning. And this isn't even the video I wanted to get out by Friday, but I did want to put something on the channel for release day, or as close as I possibly could get to it. So thank you for the patience with this, and I hope you enjoy it. Something I'm not actually sure I've mentioned on the channel yet is that in recent weeks, I have partnered with Opbounty, who have been so gracious as to include me in their stat presenting on their Twitter, on their Patreon, basically ranking their weekly data in the way that I have in past Opbounty centered videos. So quick thank you, quick shout out to them. Again, I cannot recommend their application, their service enough. They are doing so much to get amazing info out to the community. It's helping me out quite a bit in the, spare time that I have to actually play this game. For $5 a month, you get access to their Patreon, which has their weekly meta reports, but also in their app, you can track your own games, you can take a look at what's being played, what cards are being used, and matchup rates for everything on the ranked sim. They are continuously refining the ways they collect and present this data, and I just want every player to be supporting them. That would be an amazing thing to see, because they're doing so much for us once again. But yeah, this will be one of two main OP09 videos that I am doing. I decided that since I computed some stats this week anyway, I might as well present what I've been able to find there. I will be doing the more classic pre-ban One Piece insert set here by the data video for set 9, where I focus more on the Eastern results, all the CS tops, everything from One Piece top decks, all of those. But that is going to take me more time. Unfortunately, there's just no way around it at this point. So I hope you enjoy this. What we are doing today is we are looking at all of the OP09 games played on Opbounty up until the day of release. Technically up until the day before release. That's when this was calculated, but pretty close. By looking at a deck's win rate and its number of games relative to everything else, I've been able to rank these so that we are looking at the decks that win the most and have the most number of games to support that win rate's credibility. All those stats will be on the slides. I've also included matchup rates for the most populous decks in the format. I believe everything over 3% play rate on Opbounty in this time frame. For the deck lists, I'm moving away from the algorithm I've used for the previous videos. Basically, what Opbounty does is they also, another advertisement for them, on their interface in the deck lists tab, they will include any lists for whatever format filter you're looking at that have more than 50 games and an above average win rate for that leader. So I've done a similar thing, weighed those according to number of games played and the overall win rate in order to sometimes just pick out the most representative list, the one that I think has the most credible achievement, or an amalgam of them for the decks that have, more lists included there. Sometimes there were just one or two, so I had to pick one based on those stats. If you want to see the other ones, go to Opbounty, get that Patreon. I'm just saying. Again, not a paid advertisement. I just like them that much. And then if you don't see any number of lists in there, then I use the algorithm from last time. It's going to be a lot of, 12 4-ofs and a 2-of there. Quick note, this is OP09 of all ranks. There were not enough games in the billion rank. There were not enough games in just the last week to really show this. And I kind of wanted to get like a full snapshot of what had been played up until the set release. Maybe as a nice contrast piece for later on. Who knows? I really have not looked at these lists very much aside from my construction of them. So I don't know how much I'll have to say. As I put the slides together, I did see that some of them will be very similar to what we've seen before, so this may be super quick. Some of them, we're just going to see what happens here. Also, here is each leader's share of the overall number of games played. You'll notice that Shanks is the most played deck for this period. I think part of that may be, the recency of Shanks, the fact that so many people wanted to learn him, haven't really played against him yet. I think this is very much going to change as time goes on. Dofi just under him, followed by Teach and Purple Luffy. Lucci, Red Purple Luffy, Purple Black Luffy, Bonnie, Pudding, Black Yellow Luffy are all between 3 and 6%. And then we've got everything else. We're looking at 39 leaders today. So here are the tiers. We've got our 1 through 10 scale. Let's get into it. Up first, we have Red Ace, and a score of 1.75 in the low tier. You know, it's unfortunate. I really like this deck, but he's of the mono red leaders. There are so many others to choose. I don't think we've really seen as much of the 10 cost Shanks in there. I could be wrong, but that stands out to me. Purple Black King running a very robust Animal Kingdom Pirates package with that 5 cost Kid Blocker and Ice Age for support. Carrot, this feels very reminiscent of what I was seeing in the previous videos for OP08. I'm not sure there were always 3 Rosinante. There may have been 4. It's 5 a.m. Red Yellow Sabo, seeing some use of the Karasu and the Kuma from the new Revolutionary Army support we get in 09. Red Sanji from PRB01. This one's just so cool. I think for this specific moment in time, you'll see that it's one decent matchup rate against the more popular decks as Teach. And the fact that we don't rely on play effects, where we specifically shy away from on-play effects, aside from, let's see, our Otama, our Nami Searcher, I believe that's it. I think there's something to be said there. I think that if you end up seeing a bunch of Teach at locals because everyone's on him, trying him, or if we just get in one of those zones where Teach just becomes the play, this could be a really cool meme. I like it. Green Purple Lim from OP09, our first OP09 leader in this video. We will see all 6, unfortunately the lowest ranked one. I've heard she's doing well in OP10. You know, it's just these Odyssey cards from set 9 with some utility. I haven't had a chance to play this one. I really just took a brief look at it. It doesn't seem like anything too crazy. It seems fun, but I don't really think there's anything as cohesive here. Vegapunk still pretty much the same as in 08. Not really a lot of changes here. Unfortunately, he hasn't really been able to keep up that really good win rate against Dofi in this early 09 testing. To me, I can look at a 46 as passable if it's a deck that, you know, you're going to commit to and really learn the matchups for and end up on the higher end of the matchup knowledge and experience, but just barely passable, at least for the criteria I use usually. Then we enter tier with Red Green Law. It's really cool to see him. We already ran the 1 cost Chopper. Why not get a little bit more of that animal package in there? I think this is a really neat use of the 08 Chopper. Blue Yellow Ace at 2.73. I haven't, for someone who really enjoys blue yellow and keeps lobbying for a blue yellow law leader, I really should try this deck a little more. I think I might sleeve it up. I enjoy healing. I have a friend who really likes this deck. He's played it against me a couple times. It's cool. Green Uta, still using that film package, still using some of those cards from the new starter deck here. She's able to keep these win rates over 40, I guess, for these most populous decks. I could see this going up a bit in some of these factors. I'd have to look at the OP08 stats to see like what the expectable ceiling is, but I think there's some potential here. Green Black Perona. This Wano package is, I think, just on the edge of feasibility with 18 cards. Maybe bring the Hioris back, but I think Krieg is also really, really, really necessary here. The Zoro is probably very shapeable. Maybe even a Sabo or a Borsalino. Then we got Foxy. He managed to do decently in set 9 over there. He got a CS top, which is really, really cool to see. Look at those Dofi and Teach matchup rates. The games are low, but hey, here we are. He is able to use some of these new cards, that 7 cost Sanji and the 9 cost Luffy from the new set. I would love to see him do more here. I would love to see this number climb up. And then we got my boy Marco. Oh, he's fallen a little bit. We're not seeing any of those, the 2 cost pudding, the Ivankov that were popularized in set 8.5 over here. I'm not really sure of the exact reason why. I don't know if there's issues with that against Shanks and Teach. I haven't really given much thought to it. It's something I might try because I am a big Marco enjoyer. Starter deck 14 Luffy. I don't really have much to say on this one. I keep saying I'm going to play this deck at some point, and then I just never do. And now I have Purple Black Luffy, which, you know, I love purple, so I think we'll see if I play this deck. Hopefully you enjoy it. Oh, and then we got Kaido. My guy from set 1. Oh, I missed him. There were 2 lists here, and I was not intending to choose this one. It's just what the stats told me to. Mainly just the 2 Kaido Linlin. I don't know how to feel about that. I really, really, really don't know how to feel about that. Initially, I'm saying not great, but someone managed to get it onto that page there, so who am I to knock it? Kaido's, you know, he's going to be in a certain place. you might as well chef around. Might as well ball out at that point. Got Red Purple Kid still crashing out. The 9-cost new Kid is something that I was not as used to seeing, but I like that a lot for just this leader doing more of the one thing he does. Why not? Black Moria, nothing new here. Positive against Shanks and Purple Luffy so far. And then we got Buggy. It's my boy Buggy. We love him. Keep in mind, this list does have the promos. Those have still been legal on the sim, so this is not a list you'll be able to take to locals at this point. If you are curious about any of the ways you can still work this list without those promos, I did do a video on Buggy earlier this week, so check that out. Green, yellow, Yamato. We've got the 4 Blaze Slice to rest Dofi's bodies. We've got the Nekomamushi. Yamato's got a bit of an uphill battle right now, but, there's still some stuff we can do. And then nothing new leader. Best Girl Nico Robin. Oh, this deck is so cool. I've played a couple games. I really, really want to play more. I love starving my opponent out. I love Banish. I love healing. Triggers, for what they are, I'll take them or leave them. But, the fact that they're fuel here, sick. I don't care how bad the win rates are here. I do not care that there is not a single positive win rate on this table. I'm gonna play it. It's Nico Robin. She has the cowboy hat. It's Robin. Come on. Finishing out tier, we have Boa Hancock. At this point, it's a question of why not just play Dofi instead. But I also really enjoy removal. I enjoy being rewarded for that. So I think there is an aspect of this deck for the fun factor that I am very attracted to here. Starting off Rogue tier, we have Yellow Kalgara. Nothing has changed with the list, but he does have a positive matchup to Shanks going in. There is something to be said about that. The other ones, well, they're there. And then we have Smoker. One thing I didn't really mention is that I'm going to have a completely different ranking system for the big video. Smoker will be higher on there. I think Smoker is being slept on to a degree. I don't think he's the most powerful black deck. I'm very interested in the fact that they've got the 2 Stussy here, but Smoker was able to get to a point in OPA where he had a lot of 50-50 or 50-50 adjacent winnable matchups across the board. I have zero experience with the Shanks matchup. Shanks' ability can make the 7,000 we hit with our leader much less impactful. I am eager to see how people react to this and see what people can do about it as time goes on. Rager coming in at number 16. Nothing new here. Nothing in OP09 comes to mind as immediately supporting her. If you've thought of anything, please let me know. I'd be very curious. Purple Black Luffy at number 15. I did a video on him earlier this week too. I talked about just how many different ways you can build this deck, how many options you have for what you play here. Definitely some differences between this list and the one I had in that video. Honestly, I like these a lot. Shiki's really cool. The one-legged soldier, I think, is a great include here. I'm a big fan of it. Also like seeing the 3 Lightning, the 3 Kaido. I'm a Kaido stan, but, some people are going to go more toward the 9-cost Luffy. I really want to see how people do with this one as things go on. I don't think he's really going to break too far out of Rogue. He might end up in C when all is said and done, but I think there is something to this deck. And then we have Enel, my Toxic X. That Dofi matchup is really what carries him, and now he has Teach to worry about. Things are not looking amazing for him at this current moment. This build, very standard, nothing new here. But I will say there are some cool cards in 09 that Enel can play with. I don't know if they're going to really change the situation for him, but I'll talk a bit more about that in the next video, ASAP. And then at the top of Rogue, we have Nami. This new 1-cost event searcher adds a new dimension to the deck. She had been the gatekeeper, now she is being gatekept by Dofi, Teach, and Purple Luffy. But this is also the full player base and not an indicator of the best Nami player's performance. Then starting off C tier, we have Charlotte Pudding. Nothing new with this deck. The matchups aren't really anything to write home about. At one point, I think she was somewhere in the top 5 most played decks in the format. We're talking early days before 09 was a focus for a significant amount of players. That was just very strange to me. I'm just so curious why. It's just interesting. Then at number 11 we have Bello Betty. This is cool. I like seeing her up this far. Hasn't been doing so hot against Dofi yet, but we'll see what happens. I think if you're at a locals where there's a lot of just Dofi haters, people who are boycotting Dofi, bring her. bring her, just mess everything up. The new Rev Army cards add another dimension to the deck that I really enjoy. From the 4 lists that I used to put this together, it really came out to 47 cards that were firmly at the top of use. The 3 copies of the stage are very cuttable. That is the flex spot here. Red Purple Luffy at number 10. Love the fact that he is getting things on the Red Hair Pirates and the Straw Hat Pirates side in this new set. I think I'm pretty confident, not all the way, but like 99% sure this is the same list that topped Bandai Cardfest Indonesia. Correct me if I'm wrong. But so far, people who have been testing Red Purple Luffy have been sticking with that so far. We'll see if any innovations come up on our side. Then we have Black Yellow Luffy, and I know that I may be the Black Yellow Luffy hater. At least my rankings may make me seem to be. But this is the time where I'm going to say I think he should be higher. I think he is a solid contender in this format. On ranked, we were seeing more of the 10-cost Kuzan, the Eye of My Crew event, the Thunderbolt. Once again, this is the beginning of the new format. This is the full player base. It's the same issue that Nami has when we don't hone in on the billion plus, whatever that, higher echelon of players is. I personally enjoy the direction that this list goes in. I like the 10-cost Kuzan. Thunderbolt's really cool. The I Have My Crew event, that's just raw consistency. Always like that. Definitely some changes from the CS topping lists in Japan. But I'll go over those ones in the later video, and I like that we've got some options here. I like that people are moving around with it. Katakuri at number 8. Man, aside from Dofi and Teach, I would so not be mad at this matchup spread. Honestly, 45 versus Teach is a bit higher than I would have expected from him, if I'm being honest. This is higher than I was expecting Katakuri to go in these rankings. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe there's something to him. And then top of C is Zoro. Again, nice surprise. And I guess maybe for Katakuri, I was discounting the fact that we were in the full player base. And the same might be happening with Zoro, but this matchup spread, if you can dodge Lucci. Honestly, Lucci got a bad rap for a lot of Set 9. I think that he is still very playable. I think there's a lot he can do. But if that attitude holds true at the start of our version of Set 9, this might be Zoro's time to shine. He's not number 1, but, this is higher than I expected. Heading into B tier at number 6, we have Bonnie. This is definitely the more interesting of the 2 lists that I saw. I didn't choose it because of that. There were just, I think, significantly more games to back up the win rate that this list had as opposed to the other one. And both win rates were pretty close. Go check that out with the Patreon if you want to see the other Bonnie list there. Thoughts and opinions may vary on Electrical Luna. I think it's a cool card. The one Rosinante is spicy. I like it. It's pretty cool. And this isn't the worst spread. Lucci's going to be a problem. I'd like to think that Bonnie just needs to test more into Shanks, but this is also a matchup I haven't tried myself. Let me know what you think. I have no idea. Now we're getting to the problem child, Teach. Oh man, this deck. This deck. I hate the fact that I enjoy it. I hate the fact that Burgess can't be taken out by KO effects. To me, that's just stupid to me. But I think Ability Lock is a valid playstyle. I am not mad at his existence. It is not a crime to exist. He's received a lot of hype. These matchups don't show it. This is just very much people learning the deck. There is... I don't know if it's necessary that there's a lot more nuance to it, because the strategy is pretty cut and dry. But the resource management and knowing when to pull back, I think, are huge aspects to this deck that I have yet to master. And I think that is a lot of why those matchups look the way they do right now. But more on Teach, more on what I think of his place in the format will come later on. I still want to solidify my thoughts on where he stands just a teeny bit more. Purple Luffy at number 4. Star Deck 18 was a wonderful boost to the deck. Wasn't quite enough on its own, but with Gum Gum Giant, with this new Luffy and this new Sanji, now he is a force to be reckoned with. He's one of those decks where I think that his presence is going to ebb and flow a lot, but this is just a strong pick, especially right now at the start of the format. And at number 3, we have our final new leader, Red Shanks. Honestly, I love this matchup spread. This is the kind of matchup spread I really enjoy. And this is also a deck that I'm really excited for. It It's not exactly the way that OP02 Mono Red Luffy was, but there's something reminiscent of it that I really, really like. And even though the Red Hair Pirates and Big Drop Skeleton is pretty set in stone, there is enough room to go in a bunch of different directions with the deck. I know Gum Gum Firefist Red Hawk was receiving a lot of hype at the end of the Japanese format. Is not in this list that I've showcased here. I might get into that later on. But, there's plenty of room with Shanks. People are still learning to play with him. People are still learning how to play against him. And it's a deck that I think everyone should pick up at least once. Whether that is for the reasons I mentioned just now, or just because he's interesting. And now we have just 2 decks left in A tier, Black Lucci. Aside from the Teach matchup, he has managed to hold his own. The 2 copies of Stussy, I was very surprised to see here. Honestly, not the 9-drop I was expecting, but power to the players that are making it work. And at number 1, drum roll, that really is just going to fizzle out immediately because we all know it's Dofi. I'm sorry to end this with the most basic list possible, but at a certain point, if it ain't broke, you don't really need to fix it. The deck is still amazing. This package is nuts. The fact that he just cheats out these characters without using cards from hand, that's just gonna be amazing. There's no way around it. But I will be talking more about the tech cards that were used in Japan at a later date as soon as possible. If you want to hear more about the ones that were shown on Opbounty, then either check them out now, go to that Patreon, or let me know, and I would be happy to give some more coverage on that. It would just, there'd be a little more of a time delay there. And that is our first snapshot of OP09 as shown on Opbounty so far. Big thank you again to them. Really appreciate them for putting this whole platform together and for making this so much easier. I would not have been able to do this so quickly without them. If there are any applications of the data on Opbounty that you are either wondering about, would like to see, or maybe even recommend, let me know. I love pouring through the data that they have and talking about it, so if there's something that's feasible, I would love to bring more info. As we finish up, here is a matchup chart for the entire format. I'm, again, recording this in my room. It is 6 a.m. now, and I have to go to the airport in a couple hours, so I'll be editing this on a plane most likely. If the matchup chart is too big to be readable when it's squeezed into a YouTube frame, I will definitely include a link to it. Didn't really go into the expected value stats like I did in the 8.5 video because, again, this is OP09 full format. I don't really think tweaking it beyond what we have here is going to give us the most valuable insight for the time. But yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this. I hope that this is either giving you a direction to go in with the deck you've been playing, giving you an idea for what to expect with these new decks, or even giving you something a more offbeat that you want to try to play for fun. Please stay tuned. This is not the only OP09 content I am doing. I am still hard at work on the OP09 Eastern Region edition. I don't know if I'm going to call that, but the one where we talk about One Piece top decks, where we go more into the CS topping list for the full format that has already progressed. I'm very excited to share that one with you as well. If you want to know as soon as it comes out, subscribe, click the notification bell. If you enjoyed this, let me know by leaving a like. And if you have anything to say about this, if you have any feedback on these stats, if there's anything you want to see with Opbounty related content, please let me know down below. I love hearing what you guys have to say. Thank you so much for the support so far. I am so excited for OP09. I'll see you real soon. This is Soccer Kingdom. I'm going to finish packing because I still have a couple more things to finish up, but I had to get this recorded. See you soon.